please. Hold, 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 please. Hello, everybody. You know who it is. It is me, BrownGirlBella. Happy Monday. Feliz lunes. Listen, have we got a show today? I am so happy to be bringing back Boss Babes. And let me tell you something. We starting it off with a bang today. We are starting it off with a bang. I was just down backstage cutting up with our guest today. And first of all, she is our kind of people. She likes to laugh. She likes to have a good time. You know, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her bio. We're going to talk all things funny girl, how she started, what her trajectory is, what she's hoping for, what her wishes are. And then I'm going to open up, as I always do, to my babes so that you can ask questions. And you know how I want my questions, right? That's right. Give me that lipstick emoji in the chat so I know that you want to ask a question, okay? And then I will ask the question if you have a follow-up question, any kind of question, any kind of thing. Emoji, lipstick emoji. You know what it looks like? Shall I show you? I'll show you. Let me show you. Babes, let's get it. So, lipstick emoji looks like this, babes. Look at that. That is the lipstick emoji, babes, okay? I'm going to pin it. Well, maybe I'm going to pin it. Let's see. You know, some days YouTube wants to work with us. Some days they just be like, maybe, maybe not. All right, so I pinned it to ask the question, lipstick emoji. Before I bring up my guests, I love to read their bios, tell you a little bit about who it is that is coming to the stage. This is episode 1 of season 3 of Boss Babes, and I'm calling it The Bossier, the Better. And we are starting off episode 1 with none other than Miss Gina Nicole Brown. She is an actor, comedian, and storyteller that uses TV, film, and stage to bring words and characters to life. She is the runner-up in the finals of Sherri's Funny Over 50 comedy contest held on the TV show Sherri. And currently, you can see her in the Netflix docuseries, The Principles of Pleasure. Y'all, I watched episode 1 already, and I'm hooked. We're going to talk about it and why I'm so hooked in a moment. Let's continue. You may catch her in several national commercials like Oragel, Colonial Penn Insurance, or on a billboard at various New York City bus stops for a TV/print ad campaign for the Office of New York City Emergency Management and the Ad Council. She is a writer and an actor for the New York City sketch comedy team, a series of Unfortunate Folks, and can be seen in several films and other theater productions. Widely known for winning BuzzFeed's 2019 Mother's Day project, Black Moms Try Other Black Moms Soul Food, you may find many of her other credits listed on IMDb. A writer in her spare time, her first book, Teeth Should Not Be Optional. Wait, we got to talk about that too. Teeth Should Not Be Optional. Random Thoughts from an Insomniac is available now on Amazon. She participates in a weekly acting workshop along with acting classes, the Meisner Technique, and screenwriting classes. She holds a BA from American University and an MBA from the George Washington University. She has spent an unforgivable unforgivable amount of time working in corporate America and has a slight obsession with the Oxford comma. We're going to get into that too. And is grounded by her 2 fearless daughters. Listen, I am so entertained by everything she does. I want to know more, and I know you do too, babes. So without further delay, let's bring up our boss babe, Miss Gina Nicole Brown. Hey, girl, hey!
Who's that you were talking about? Were you talking about me? Because I think I heard you might have been.
Yes! Indeed. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Okay, let me make this bigger so we can see you.
So you can see all of my imperfections and stuff.
Listen, we all have imperfections.
Yes, we do.
But our imperfections are perfect. You know why? Because we are bubbling brown sugar, honey. That's what it is. Hello, babes. Hello, TC, HBCU Queen. Welcome in. Hello, Lou. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome in. I know my cloud cuties are up in the clouds watching as well. So don't worry. If you have a question, this lipstick emoji, put that before your question, and then we will pull you up to ask the question, okay? Thank you so much for coming. And without further delay, Gina.
Yes.
Where do I begin, girl? Where do I begin? I'm going to start from the very, very beginning.
Okay.
How did you know that you were funny?
Well, people sort of always told me that, right? Like, but in my case, I mean, yes, I say things. I thought I was saying them under my breath. But a lot of that inner voice came out and people actually heard. But in my case, it's faces. Like I cannot and could not ever play poker. It's all in the face. Like if I see something, I'm like, oh. But I try, right? As a parent, I'm like, no, that's not appropriate. Stop it. You know, so yeah. So I think forever, mostly, you know, people were always like, oh, you're so funny. But you know, I didn't do anything about it.
So what made you translate that, oh, you're so funny, into, you know what, I'm leaving corporate America and I'm doing this now?
Well, So it's not that smooth, much like, right? Life is not that smooth. You think and hope that it would be. But so I worked in the corporate space for like 30 years, and I really only left. I still do some work because a girl's got to eat, right? But I really only left because I got laid off, which ended up being a blessing in disguise, right? Because I was always doing this other creative stuff on the side. And when I got laid off 5 years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to not go back. Like, I'm just going to see what I can do. And, 2019, like everything was just sort of working, right? I did a commercial that landed on that that billboard that you read about is now on bus stops, but it was in Times Square. It opened up in Times Square, and I about lost my mind. It was from a commercial, and then they converted to that. And that was all I just turned on. I said, oh, I think I'll try this. And then boom, right? And BuzzFeed happened, and so many things happened. And then 2020, right? And so then I was questioning it. I was like, what am I doing? Like, I can't, I have an MBA, but I'm also in my 50s. Like, I'm old, like no one's going to hire me. And I went down this creative path. Oh my gosh, how am I going to, feed the kids? But creative people, we get creative. And I scrounged together some stuff, but really it was, I started doing stand-up when I was 46. So I was working. I didn't just come out the gate, right? And I was doing stand-up for a while, a long time. I've been doing stand-up now for 11 years, but I started doing other things along the way. It was 5 years ago that I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to try to do some acting and some writing. And, and I started to sort of branch out in all areas creative. And I haven't left it. I do other things, right? I have not left it. And every time I think I'm going to leave it and go back into the corporate space, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here nodding because I'm like, yeah, same here. Like, I started in corporate America. I've been working since I was 15 years old in corporate America. And I feel like I'm at a point now where I'm either aged out or I'm stuck in like that mid-level, kind of high up VP kind of level, but no further.
Right.
So let's go back a little bit more to your college days. So you got your BA from American University, and then you stayed in that area and got your MBA from George Washington. So what made you go there? When did you decide? Because you are an AKA as well. So So when did you cross? Okay, so let's just talk about all of that. Let's see.
All right, we'll go way back, right? So way back. The reason I went to AU, I was an exchange student growing up. I lived in France, and so I spoke French when I came back from living with a French family, and I was in Rochester. I'm from Rochester, and I was a teenage diplomat. So I used to translate when people came in. Bamako, Mali is one of our sister cities of Rochester. So people would come into town, and as a teenager, I would translate and help. Because of that experience, I thought, I should do international relations. AU was pretty strong. I wanted to be in DC. So I came for that. But when I got here, I decided I didn't want that anymore. So French is still my minor and whatever, but I switched to like a pre-law called Law and Society. So that's what I came out with. I was going to go to law school, right? And so when my senior year in college, I co-opted at a law firm. And then I was like, no, this isn't as sexy as I thought it was going to be, because it's sexy on TV and I need to be in a sexy job. And that wasn't sexy. I was all in papers. It was a communications law firm. I was running to the FCC filing stuff. I was like, I don't think I want this. But I pledged, before we leave AU, I pledged spring 88. So I was a junior when I pledged, and there were 7 on my line and I was number 2. And
me too. I was a 2.
yay! And 7 for AU. That's a big line of
Wow.
for AU. I mean, so yeah, and it was it was a good experience, and my AU days were great. But then when I graduated, since I didn't go to law school, I was like, oh my gosh, now what am I going to do, right? So I worked. And then I decided to go back to graduate school. So I was still working full time, and I went back to graduate school full time. And I thought, well, an MBA in business economics would work in DC. And so I got that, but then I just fell into marketing. And I've been, I did a number of years partner marketing. I've done every sort of aspect of marketing, mostly because I like writing and the communication. So for me, it's not a massive jump into writing a book or writing a script and or performing comedy, right? But for others, it might be. But because I was writing content anyway, now the content's just funnier.
Yeah. I always said if I were to write a book or to tell a story about my marketing days in advertising and marketing, I could probably do stand-up because it was very funny.
It's very funny. Right.
Some of the things that go on and some of the things that you have to deal with and client relations and interpersonal relations with the with your coworkers and things. And I tell you, one of my first big opportunities in advertising was working for an African-American advertising agency. That was comedy in and of itself.
Sure.
So I get it. But comedy life is hard. So how do you juggle your family life with your daughters and going out on the road? And I know that you were previously married, divorced.
Twice.
Oh, I only did it once. You only had to do one time for me to know that.
No, I mean, like, I'm a number 2. I have to do everything 2 and 2. 2 marriages, 2 divorces. I need that even thing, right? So 2 kids, right?
2 kids, yeah.
Yeah. So I met my first husband in graduate school, and we should have just stayed friends. I think we didn't have kids or anything. We didn't stay together very long, and we're still friendly, enough today. But my second husband is where I had my children, and we stayed together a little bit longer. Yeah, but I didn't do any of this. I don't think I realized as who I really was until I got divorced for the second time. I know that sounds, I think some people, it's a journey, right? And some people find themselves earlier or even later, right? And for me, it was definitely midlife and going through a divorce, and I just needed to sort of be free to feel me and to figure out who I was. I just needed to get out of that. It was very stuffy for me. And he's a great dad, and we're still close, right? But it just didn't work for me, and I couldn't do some of the things that I really wanted to do. And so I was divorced when I started doing stand up and doing other things. And so creatively anyway. So I didn't do a lot of on the road, but at this, I traveled a lot for my job. So because I traveled a lot for my regular job, I have performed in lots of cities, because when I would travel, I would just go and say, hey, can I come on your stage? So I've done Portland and Seattle and LA. LA I've done a few times for other things, but and New York for a ton of stuff, of course, but like just different places. But I wasn't somebody who had the luxury of being like a road comic going from club to club to club, because I was a mom first.
Right.
And mom always came first, and then I fit in other things. Now my kids are a little bit older. I have one in college and one's a junior in high school now, so it's a little bit different. Now I'm a little bit freer, but at the time I just did it when I could, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So one is a junior, you said, in high school,
and one's a freshman in college.
Freshman. Oh, so you're going to be an empty nester soon. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think. And so I love the girls. And the thing is that we're actually all really close. So frankly, if I had space and they wanted to come back, Like
Mm-hmm.
they could go to their quarters and it would be completely fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like family, but yeah, it's fine. They need to find their way. So
Mm-hmm.
I want them around me, but I also I'm living my life, but I've also lived those years that they
Mm-hmm.
need to live. So
Right.
however they choose to live those years, they need to go do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
That's wonderful. All right, so Sherri show.
I know, right?
How did that happen?
What? Say what? So here's the thing. I mean, we consume a lot, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
don't see everything. I'm kind of busy doing a lot of other things, and so I don't have a chance to like see everything. Well, one of my Sans actually,
Mm-hmm.
um, number 6 on my line,
Mm-hmm.
just sent me the poster from that. She just texted to me, and she didn't say anything. And
Mm-hmm.
this is how she communicates. She just sends stuff, and I was like, I guess I'm supposed to know what to do with that.
Right.
Now, it was pretty self-explanatory in this
Mm-hmm.
case. So I did, I saw it and I was like, oh, I don't know. And you always second guess. You're like, oh, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna do that. But then I was like, you know what? I'll go. I'll try. So yeah, so I submitted something and then it was a while, like the whole fall. Like
Mm-hmm.
and I forgot. Like I submitted and then I just put it out of my mind, which is what I
Mm-hmm.
always do.
Yes.
And yeah, like there's no reason to like hyper focus on it unless it's going to the next step. Hi,
Mm-hmm.
somebody. And so hello. So that you know what I mean? So I don't
Mm-hmm.
hyper focus on something until it moves to a level where I then need to give it some energy, right?
Right.
So yeah, I submitted. It took a few months, and then um, I got another email that said I needed to submit something else, and I was like, really? And I was like, can't you just look at the other thing? And then I did, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was about to get on a podcast, and the phone rang, and I saw it, and it wasn't like spam or telemarketing. I didn't know the number, but it was definitely
Mm-hmm.
New York, and I was like, let me just go ahead and answer this. And I answered it. And then it was her, one of her team members. And I was like, I laughed. I was like, are you sure you're calling me? Like,
Oh no.
did you butt
Yes.
dial? Why am I in your phone? Why am I in your phone? Right. And so she's like, yes, it's me, da, da, da. And I
Yes.
was like, okay. And then she said she would follow up with an email, which she did. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this might be real. So it was just a lot of, and then it was a ton of phone calls and a ton
Wow.
of emails and,
Mm-hmm.
doing this and that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you get on, and I saw you twice because I watched it. I saw you the very first
Yeah.
time you were up against, I forgot
Semifinalist.
what her name was,
Yeah.
but I was like, oh yeah, this is the
Oh,
one. This is the one. And then the finals.
yeah.
Talk to me about the finals because I have my opinions. I think that it was rushed a little bit in my mind. I feel like you had not a whole lot of time to do the I just felt like it was a little rushed. But explain to me from your perspective what you thought of the final.
Yeah. So, I mean, the finals were a little bit different because during the semis, we were interviewed, right? So we had
Mm.
time with Sherri
Mhm.
chatting a bit about ourselves, right? And
Mhm.
then we performed.
Mhm.
So the audience sort of got a chance to kind of have more connection time.
Mhm.
Um, and so for the finals, there was no interview. And
Okay.
that's why I think from maybe your perspective, it felt like there was less time of seeing us on stage. Well,
Yeah.
me, as I didn't win, right? So
Yeah.
Juanita was still up there. No, no, completely fine. Like I think
Mhm.
she's hilarious, right? I think
Yeah.
everybody's funny, right? I
Mhm.
think the challenge of doing something like this is you're not everybody's cup of tea. And
Mhm.
you will never comedy notwithstanding, we are never going to be everybody's cup of tea, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter whether it's comedy or not. And
Right.
it's just you have to be, but particularly with stand up, you have
Mhm.
to be tough enough to handle. It's super vulnerable. There's nothing else that I do that is this vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you just have to be able to know if they don't like me, I got to take that hit.
Right.
I got to take the hit, right? So yeah, we have the same amount of time. Our sets had been already reviewed and sort of approved early on. Like even before the semis, they knew what we were going to talk about for part 1 and part 2. They knew it. And we could choose whichever set we wanted, but we needed to stay, with that subject matter, like in that. Yeah, I mean, a little give and take. We're stand-ups, so we ad-lib a little bit, but it's daytime TV, so it all needed to be appropriate, right?
Right.
But yeah, so from the time of our sets were the same, were similar. I think what I suspect what you're feeling is that because Juanita won, I didn't, you didn't see me after. And in fact, you saw too much of me, because as soon as I lost, I had to stand there and be like, and I said to Sherri, I was like, I want to go. I got to go. Can I get off the stage now? And she's like, I know. And then I moved over, and I'm not sure if they panned to that, because I think they were focused on the stage, but the judges were over there. And I had to stop and talk to each one of them. I was like, okay. Can I go backstage? Can I go to my room? I want to go to my dressing room. Can I like, I was just trying to get off, right?
Right.
But they all had something to say, and Kim in particular had some very kind words for me. So yeah, so that was that. It was a good experience, and yeah, it was a really good experience.
Would you do it again if given the chance?
Yeah, I would. I would do it and so many other things. I do. It can be hard. I've been in comedy contests in the past, really early on in my comedy career, and this one was different. Sherri was trying to be very specific about elevating certain, people in terms of demo, in terms of age, right? And gender and whatnot. And I've been in them in the past. It's been a little bit harder to kind of be seen, right? But yeah, so I would do it again. But it's a lot of mental preparation. Like, you're set,
right?
Mentally preparing for things to go either way.
Yeah. So before you were on the Sherri Show, you had actually won the BuzzFeed 2019 Mother's Day Project. Can you describe a little bit about what that was?
Yeah. So, and again, I think I sometimes just go into things like, okay, I'll do it. And then I don't really realize what's going to happen. Like, I think my friends were more for the Sherri. They were like, that's a big deal. And I was like, yeah, it seems like a big deal. And they're like, no, and I was like, oh, okay. And so for BuzzFeed, same thing. Like, I went up to New York and I shot this thing. Now, they didn't have us all ever in the same room. In fact, they seated us. We knew, I could tell who was about to do this because it was mamas, right? We were all mamas. And the average age of a BuzzFeed employee, at least then, was like 23. And so we were all sitting in like the room, those kinds of companies, BuzzFeed, Google, they just have, you just find a place to plop you and your computer down and you work.
Right.
And it's so different. I had an office with a door, like it's a different world up there. Right.
Exactly.
And so they faced us elsewhere. And I was like, oh yeah, that's another mama over there. Cause it was just baby birds floating around and you could just see the mamas. I was like, she's going to be cooking. She's going to be cooking. So, and we had to cook our food ahead of time. So I just cooked it. And, and frankly, I don't eat fried chicken that often. I eat chicken and waffles, don't sleep. But I'm saying I don't make it, right? And I didn't want to. It's not, we had to make fried chicken and macaroni and cheese. I do make a mean macaroni and cheese. I mean, I won, so I do. But that I make, but I don't eat a lot of fried chicken. And so I don't make it, right? But that's what I had to make. I have other better dishes, but anyway, we had to make it. So came in and we made it. And so I was last. So the other ladies, they said whatever, they ate and they made the comments or whatever. So I go in just happy, and I was just happy to eat some food, right? Because you're eating everybody's food. And I was like, I've been waiting
to eat this food.
with baby birds, right? Who are eating alfalfa sprouts. I want some food.
Exactly.
So I went in and I was eating it and I said, oh, this is pretty good. And they were like, is it? And I was like, well, I mean, it could be. And he's like, we need you to be honest. I was like, but I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right.
Even I did not know they were destroying people. Like earlier, before I came in, if you saw the video, you'll see they're like so mean. And I was like, I was just trying to be neutral. Like I just went in trying to eat food. I really didn't know that I was supposed to be brutal. And so they turned off the camera for a second and he's like, listen, I'm going to need you to be really honest about what you're eating. And I was like, I mean, like early? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay. So they turned it back on and I was like, don't do this again. Nah. What is this? Are you kidding? Like, so then I got really honest, right? But I still, I couldn't believe I won. I still, my scores were still really high. I didn't give anybody a really low score. I was like, she should have done whatever. I'll give it an 8. Like, it was still a good score. Anyway, whatever. So I won. I said, well, the takeaway from that is I was not prepared to go viral. That's really the scary thing. I was absolutely not prepared for that. And I didn't know it was a Mother's Day thing, right? So it came out like the Saturday before Mother's Day. And I just got random dings were popping up everywhere. And I had no idea what was happening. And I was like, why is my phone going crazy? Like I was just sort of green where that was concerned. I mean, I'd been a comic, but I didn't have anything that had gone viral, right? So that millions, like it's insane. Wow. It's YouTube, the BuzzFeed's page, the Tasty page, all the pages, all the things. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it's good, right? It's nice.
Because it got you to Sherri. I'm sure they looked at it as well.
Yeah, they mentioned it. There was a mention of it. But the thing about it is I have to tell you that when you go viral, no matter what, it's not always good, right? So for the most part, it was positive because I won and I was kind. Like I didn't destroy anybody.
Right.
But then, there's always people that have to find a way for whatever to bring you back down. Not like I was living up here, but they need to bring you down. They're like, right, she's not even Black. Wait a minute, how'd she win? And there was memes going around 33%ally. And like they were guessing games. I think she's this. I think she's that. And it was horrible. And similarly with the Sherri thing that went viral, obviously there was a lot of engagement. There were comments on that too. And I'm like, look, I mean, if I don't like something, I just scroll. I don't take the time, but I'm cut differently. I'm like, I don't have time to give you any kind of bad energy. I'm trying to keep the good stuff coming. Swipe, you just keep moving, right? That's why I was saying to you earlier, I was just like, comedy aside, we can't please everybody. Even if you're just trying to make people laugh or just trying to spread peace and joy, everybody's not going to like you. And for what you can't even control the reasons, right? It may not have anything to do with me. You want to take a guess on what my makeup is? Fine, go do that. That's on you. It doesn't have anything to do with me. That's your insecurity.
Exactly. I know who I am and I know whose I am, right?
Managing what your issues are. I got mad at my own, right? so there's good and bad when you get a little popular.
Indeed. I mean, to do what you do, to do this that I do, it takes a thick skin.
Yeah, for sure.
And in the world of social media, as we were talking about the baby birds and you have young girls, what do you do to prepare them for this? Because, okay, you signed up for this, but they did not. So how do you prepare them for whatever is out there?
Yeah. And, the good thing is that my girls are of me. So, and they've actually been to some of my shows, and they're funny in their own right. And they sometimes will give me suggestions. But they're strong. And I think they also both know when they need a break. Like the youngest one, she's not even on TikTok. She stays over where she knows it's going to just be happiness, right? And if it gets too dark, even on Instagram or whatever, she's not there. She's looking at puppies. Like she's not doing it, and she knows to pull away. The older one, she's in college, and so she steps out there a little bit more, but so far anyway, they both know when to pull back. Like they don't rely, their world is not just social media, fortunately.
That's so smart.
Yeah, they're doing other things. They're on like not Babbel, but the Duolingo. Like they both are like, hey, did you finish it? Did you finish it? Like they're learning languages. They're playing their games on their thing. They're doing their own thing. So they're not super influenced by this noise that's sort of out there.
Nice. I love that. So they're pretty grounded. Yeah. But then again, their mom was featured on the Netflix show, The Principles of Pleasure.
What
about Miss Gina Nicole?
And they've seen it. Are you kidding? I do not shelter my children. I don't shelter my children. I didn't come from a mother who sheltered. She is okay. As soon as we were ready, she was like, here's the book, Our Bodies, Ourselves. Read it. Yeah, no, I don't shelter them. They saw it. Plus they were of age to sort of know. And they're open and honest with me. I mean, sometimes they're like, oh, Mom. But mostly they know. And it hasn't, they're still really, really close to me. They're nobody's doing anything. And if they need help and want to, they know who to talk to. But principles of I loved doing that one, the Principles of Pleasure. It was during COVID, and I had to come into Brooklyn, and so the interviews, like I never met the other ladies. Some of us are social media friends now, and it's fun. So we follow the careers of, and so it's been fun. But it was COVID, so and it was like the height of it, right? So I got interviewed in a studio, and the person, it was so wicked. The person interviewing me, I saw her through like an iPad, like on a screen, and she physically was in another studio. Nobody was in the room with me. Like they'd set it up from a production perspective, and like she was just hitting and pointing and doing. I was like, this is super cool. Yeah, it was really, really cool, right? From a production perspective, I thought, wow, way to get it done. And yeah, it was, it's all about the different, we just, I just pop in a little bit and say a couple of things, but it's not about me at all. It's about women and our pleasure. And how we absolutely should have it and own it, and how to help ourselves achieve it, and or how to help somebody else help them achieve it. Whatever your setup is, you will learn something, and people learn a lot because they talk about that there's everybody thinks there's a G spot, not an O spot, a G spot. You were born
right? I thought that.
I thought that.
That was the first episode that I watched, and I was sitting there and I was like, wait a minute. So all this time they've been talking about this magic G spot. There's no G spot.
And the best is if you date men or whatever you date. I think most women know if you date women, but if you date men and they think they know. Oh, I hit G spots all the time. I'm G money. I'm in it. Are you?
Are you though?
Are you hitting it? Oh.
What you think you hitting? You ain't hitting,
baby. Because
that ain't it, baby.
Right? Oh yeah, so it's really good stuff. I told everybody men should be watching it too. I was like, hey, come get on this. Yeah.
Absolutely. I actually need to leave a link to that also. So I'll put a
go
link to
watch
that
it
in the description box as well.
Yeah.
You have to watch it, ladies and gentlemen.
It's so cool. Yeah.
Watch it. And don't be like me thinking, oh, that's what it was. It's not.
You need to bring a pad and you need to
diagram.
pause it. You'll be like, wait a minute, what? I'm sorry, where is oh. Well, all right. Yes.
Yeah. And also when they talked about the anatomy point of view, I was surprised at how similar our anatomies are.
They just change later.
It's just change later. And so I was like, wow.
There's so much in there. And then there's
so much in there to learn.
Sensitivities, people think that there's that one little area. No, honey. It extends out.
There's many areas.
Get to know all the areas. We should be having wine.
Exactly. But what I tell you, Thursday night.
Okay, we're gonna come back.
Have our wine. I call it unwind, wine, and wine.
Right.
Because it's almost the end of the week.
Yes.
We whine about the freaking week, right? Because there's always something to whine about.
Yes.
And then we have wine because it's wine.
Because why wouldn't you?
Like wine makes everything better.
Right.
And so, we've been talking about a whole host of things on Thursday nights, and we kind of been playing on the celebrities and their like follies and misdoings and misgivings and a whole lot of nonsense that they've been doing that's coming to light.
They do stuff.
We've been talking about the bad behavior. But I definitely want to have you back for the principles of pleasure. Once I get through episode number 4. We're going to talk about bringing you back for that one.
Yeah, everybody go watch and then let's discuss.
Yes. This is your homework, babes. Right. Go watch it. And then we'll come back and we'll have another conversation. We'll see if Gina can come back and we'll talk and discuss amongst ourselves. Welcome, Ray. I see some people coming in and saying hello. Thank you so much for coming. Guys, if you have a question, don't forget, use that lipstick emoji that's pinned to the top and then write your question. And just, let us know what you have to say and what questions you may have. So here's the thing. If you are talking to someone who wants to go into comedy, this young woman, she thinks, she's funny. Her friends tell her she's funny. What advice would you give to this new starting person that's coming into this field? What advice would you give to them?
Well, I think it's similar even outside of comedy, right? Like I would say, if you have a passion about something, explore it and then follow it, because you're never going to be satisfied if you just wish that you did something. You have to actually do it. So, but comedy specifically, I mean, some of the things I think we already know, right? That it's very male dominated. Right. So be comfortable in that space. You can find definitely groups of women and, shows that are more female friendly and, have more women on it, but it is a male dominated field. And write down some stuff, write your stuff and go to mics. Go to open mics and just start doing it. Now, I did my first show before I went to do a class, just because I just wanted to sort of get a feel for how things were, right? But I also think it's helpful to go to a class. So I did a 5 Minutes of Funny at DC Improv. I'd also taken an improv class, but 5 Minutes of Funny is a stand-up class. They can't make you funny. That's not what it is designed to do, but it will have you, it will have you thinking through, oh, I wrote this, what else, how else can I expand it? Comics and people who do stand up, often it's not that we gatekeep, but it's a solo thing. You're up there by yourself, and it can be scary to share your thoughts with another person. A, you think they're going to steal it, but B, you sometimes are like, this is so crazy, this can't be, I'm the only person who thinks it's funny. But I want new people and other people as well. Trust that, because that stopped me for a long time. Like, I have got to be the only person who thought that this was funny, and then I wasn't. And we will talk about my book. Yes. I'll talk about that. But yeah, no, I think follow through is big. A lot of times people have ideas and then they don't pursue it, but it's really trusting your gut. And if you think it's funny, probably somebody else thinks it's funny too, right? So I say write and do. You can write all you want. It's very different. Performing live in front of people is so different than just, I wrote that down and oh, that's so funny. And it's also different from writing behind the screen. Like, you might be super funny on X or on Twitter, not ecstasy. And I mean, you might be funny on ecstasy too. I don't know. Facebook or whatever, you might be super funny behind this, you know what I mean? But it might not translate when you get up in front of people. So you have to go to mics and try. And don't be afraid to bomb, because even professionals bomb. I mean, we've seen whole people that we know, right, that perform, that are celebrities that perform and have whole episodes and shows that are bombish, right? It happens. So don't be afraid of it. It hurts. Oh, it hurts. But then you pick yourself up like you did when you were a little kid and you fell off your bike, and you keep going.
Absolutely. So want to get to your book next, but just before that, I wanted to ask you a question about the process of writing that book.
Okay.
So how long did it take you to
think this is a real book?
Okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to type it.
You are adorable because you think this is a real book. I love you. I love you. No, this, my friend, this is a book of quips. It's a book of quips. Okay, it's teeth should not be optional. Random thoughts from an insomniac. Every page is a quip. Okay, they're just, okay, here's one example. I'd like to do a study of studies, but then I'd have to do a study of the study of studies, and I'm just not that studious. So these are literally, this is what my brain thinks, right? I have one that says I'm starting an extra gluten movement. Like, these are, my brain just thinks like that, right? Now, it's not stand-upable. This is not a stand-up thing, right? But it's funny quips, and it's, I mean, I don't sort of want to call it a toilet read, but it's kind of a toilet read. But it's also just chill, like an airplane read or a bus ride. It's very chill, and it's just like, you know how you have like a calendar a day thought, like motivation? Well, just do this. Just read this. Like, I wrote, I've never seen anybody wear a Fitbit, because I have it. Nobody wears a Fitbit. The fit people don't need those things. So, and so the process of writing that. So I shared an office years ago with one of my dear friends, and I would just say things, right? And I was like, oh, let me just write that down. This is it. She's like, you should write a book. I was like, yeah, right. What would I call it? Random thoughts from Gina. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. So I traveled a lot. That was another one of my jobs that I traveled a lot for. And I kept a notebook for years. I had no intention. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And then I took a sabbatical at my last job that I had. We had the opportunity, if you'd been there X period of time, that you could take a sabbatical. So I did. I took like 3 months off or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to write my book. So I did. I put it all together. I learned how to publish my own thing, and I just did, and I pushed it out all while I was on sabbatical. I formatted it. I did whatever. I got a forward. I mean, like, I did all the things.
Wow.
It's a prelude. I am writing a memoir, which would be a lot meatier and heavy. That's on pause because I just was writing a script for a TV show. So like I had to pause you can't do everything.
Right.
So anyway, but I love my book. Hi, people, get my book.
Yes.
It's on Amazon.
Awesome. I'll make sure to throw that in the link as well. All right. So before we wrap up, we got to get into some beauty stuff. I see you are a curly girl like myself.
I am.
What kind of products do you use? Because your coils are very juicy. Mine's is like all dried up. You know,
No.
I said no today. We're not gonna look juicy. We're just gonna be here.
It took me a really long time to find a product. I think a lot of times, even curly head people don't always know because they blow dry it or they do whatever they need to do to straighten out the curls. But I don't generally, I would for an acting gig if somebody wanted me to blow it out, but I'm a curly girl. Like that's just what I am. So the product I use, it's out of Canada. It's a company called Lus, L-U-S, but they have distribution centers, I think, probably in the States, but L-U-S, and they have a product for wavy, a product for curly, and a product for maybe coily, or I'm not sure what they call it. The third one, I do the curly, right? So I do that middle one, and yeah, they have like a 3-in-1, but they also have the shampoo and the conditioner and the whole deal. They have a gel. And since I found it, it really has worked well for my hair. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I love it.
All right. And then, what do you use for beauty? What's your beauty routine like? What do you use on your face? What's in your makeup bag?
I brought my makeup bag just because I felt like I had to, but like, I feel like you're going to be sorely disappointed in me.
Because we've seen it all. Trust me, and my baby. Okay. We like.
Do you really? Like,
I am that girl here.
Now,
absolutely.
I do like my red lipstick is NYX. I do like that.
We like NYX.
What I am obsessed with, I'm going to show you some stuff, but I'm obsessed with scent. I never don't smell Prada Milano. I am Prada Milano all the time. I don't care if it's just me here going to the grocery store every single day. I don't like stinky smells. I'm kind of that I don't and I don't myself ever want to. Scent is a thing for me. Plus I'm kind of attracted to smells, right? So but in terms of like product, let's see. I used to have a unibrow because I'm that girl who had a lot of hair. It went away because I'm old. So now I use Thrive stuff. And I'm a Thrive girl, right? So
I love the
eyebrow thing. And I have a ton of Thrive, like a CC cream, primer for my eyes. Like I have a big, beautiful brush from Thrive. I'm a Thrive girl. Yeah. But I don't do
I love their mascara. Their mascara is beautiful.
They should. And I like these things. These are like the things that you just put on your eye.
Oh, yes.
Right? Like we should talk. They should sponsor me, right?
Yes.
I'm not, admittedly, I don't, I'm not that girl who's like, oh, let me see my face. Like, just sometimes, I mean, for acting gigs and stuff, usually, they'll do it. But tonight I said, you know what? She's called BrownGirlBella. If I don't put some blush on this face, and I put a little lipstick on.
I see the lippy.
You weren't gonna come in here and outshine me, girl. I love you, Soror, but you were not what you weren't gonna do.
Come on, 88. Tell me.
Spring 88 is coming in here.
Come on through a laugh. I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh my gosh, it's been such a pleasure. I didn't see any questions. You guys didn't want to ask?
Nobody wants to know anything?
We have this beautiful all vivacious women here and nobody wants to ask a question? Oh my goodness. Wow. They're probably all watching The Principles of Pleasure. That's what happened.
I mean, and practicing as they should.
They and putting some to practice. I know my man who's watching, he better be watching too.
How about that? How about it?
But first watch me, watch BrownGirlBella, and then go and watch.
Right.
And then call me, boo. I'll go right back downstairs. Thank you so much, Gina Nicole Brown, for coming. This is episode 1 of season 3 of Boss Babes. I'm going to try to get her back when we all do our homework and watch the show so that she can come on and talk all things nutty bits.
Yes.
But for now, we're going to let her go and enjoy the rest of her day. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Gina, for coming on. Soror Gina.
Thank you for having me.
And until next time, babes, you have now been Bellafied. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.